Ladies and gentlemen, below you will see an article I wrote in the Federalist in 2021. I said, why are Democrats hurtling the U.S. into a stock market crash? It's in the Federalist. It's on my website, hagoodman.com. I have a stock market crash channel, H.A. Goodman's other channel, and also this channel of over 203,000 subscribers. I have a stock market crash playlist. If you are a first-time viewer of H.A. Goodman on YouTube, in 2021, late 2021, said not only that Bitcoin would crash, I think Bitcoin's going to get to 10,000 or below. Very likely below 10,000. I think the Dow will get to 26, 25. It will be, unfortunately, I believe, catastrophic. I wrote about this. I predicted this. You could say, well, it really doesn't matter, like predictions or crystal balls, whatever. I did state within my Federalist article in 2021 and within the stock market crash playlist in 2021, I stated that this would happen. If you read the article that I wrote, and if you watch all the 40-plus videos, while most people were late to what's really happening, I was one of the first in all of YouTube. Nobody's really going to pay attention to that or care about that. Probably not many people, it could be, will watch this segment because it's late at night. I usually do my live streams during the day or videos during the day. Nobody's really going to care that I told everyone to get out of the market or that I told everyone, hey, get a loan if you need it. Last year I said, get a loan if you need it. Because lending is going to dry up. Now, they're going to bail out Silicon Valley Bank, but the damage is done. If you don't believe me, there's here, Bill Ackman, more banks. You can look. SVB goes first, more banks likely to fail despite intervention, says investor. There are other banks that he says are probably going to go under. It won't be, if you look at the 20 largest banks, I read that Silicon Valley Bank was the 16th. I don't think that's the case. Chase, 2.57 trillion, they're probably okay. Bank of America, 2.31 trillion, they're probably okay. Or that might not be the case, I'm not sure, but I would assume at this juncture, Wells Fargo, 1.69 trillion, Citibank, 1.04 trillion, they're probably okay. But then you get to U.S. Bank. If you have banks with less than $100 billion, could be a problem. Okay? So, anyway, there are going to be more banks failing. And the reason is because the Federal Reserve, and I will give my 2 cents in terms of the economy and politics, the Democratic Party, media, highly educated experts, a fabricated consensus shut down the U.S. economy. Sweden didn't, other countries didn't. You didn't have to do that because of you know what? It was the most apoplectic, foolish response to a very serious issue. Okay, you couldn't even get a coffee. There was a run on toilet paper. Now there's a run on the banks. Remember there was a run on toilet paper because the morally superior among us said you couldn't go out to a restaurant. Now there's a run on the banks. First there was a run on toilet paper. Now there's a run on the banks. And you're covered up to $250,000, but some people might not care. Also, a lot of people will have a lot more than $250,000. But the Federal Reserve did this. They did this because they lack the knowledge of the economy that I had, or that other people had. Michael Burry knows infinitely more than I do. He's been saying that this was going to happen for a long time. This is the worst possible outcome when Democratic governors tank their states gleefully. And you could say, well, Republicans did the same thing. Yeah, but it was the Washington Post, Times, MSNBC, CNN, all Vanity Fair, Esquire, Mother Jones, The Nation, The Atlantic, New Yorker, New York Magazine. Trump was bad for wanting to keep the economy up, or for wanting to open up in March or April of 2020. He's a maniac. Trump is a lunatic. He didn't listen to the experts. When you shut down economic activity and you pushed for eviction moratoriums, you committed a modern day economic sin that affected everybody on this planet. We had record low poverty in 2019 under Trump. Now, you might not like his personality. He understands the economy. You might think Biden is so much nicer of a person. And Trump understood the economy. He understood what he had to do. His policies worked. We had record low poverty in 2019. Say it slow. I used to be the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. And I was the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. When Democrats railroaded and cheated and just threw Bernie and cheated him in the DNC primary, then they blamed the Kremlin. Then it was all these lies were told about Trump as from the people who pontificate about Trump lying. But he was telling the truth when he said, hey, you pick mashed potato brains, you're going to get into a huge stock market crash. Now, it might not happen today. It might not happen this week. The writing is on the wall, and I told people the writing was on the wall in 2021. Trump told people 3 years ago. And what took place was when Trump wanted to open up, and Washington Post and others said, it's too soon, too soon. The experts say, Trump, contradicting the experts, wants to open up. When you shut down economic activity, the demand for goods plummeted. Demand for oil, for gas, for everything plummeted. You kept demand, at record low levels. Then you opened up the economy, and then inflation went through the roof. And it didn't have to, by the way, because Biden went after the oil and gas companies when there was no alternative to oil and gas companies. Then he got sued by oil and gas associations. This is very simple for people who say, oh, you're out of your mind. Biden's administration got sued by oil and gas associations in 14 states. Within those lawsuits, read the lawsuit. They stated that you're going to increase inflation exponentially because the lifeblood of this economy, oil and gas. Okay. So then he released 200 million barrels of strategic petroleum reserves. Not one word from AOC. I don't think releasing 200 million barrels of strategic petroleum reserves, I don't think that was in the Green New Deal. You're talking about the biggest hypocrites who've ever walked this planet. Okay, these are the modern day televangelists, but from a progressive or left-leaning. They say, preach, and give sermons, and they release 200 million barrels of strategic petroleum reserves because they realize that their policies were terrible. Then the Federal Reserve went from 0.25% to 4.75%. March 17, 2022, 0.25%. The Fed funds rate. Then it's 25 basis points, 50 basis points, 75 basis points, 75 basis points, 75 basis points, 75 basis points, 50 basis points, 25 basis points. They did this to this economy because they said inflation was temporary. Well, it ain't temporary. We're looking at 6 to 9% inflation because of Biden's policies. Because of his Federal Reserve, because of the fact that Democrats pushed for an eviction moratorium while at the same time preventing people from working. And they didn't have to do that. There was no reason to do that. There was a reason, but it was a foolish response to a serious issue. Now we have, because the Fed didn't think inflation was that big of a deal, then suddenly decided it was because Jerome Powell was probably has to be the worst Fed chairman of all time. You go from March 17, 2022 to 0.25% Fed funds rate to 4.75% by February 1st of 23. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's why Silicon Valley Bank went under. Then we're not even getting into Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX and the billion, according to Elon Musk, the Democrats. But do I think people should take money out of banks? I mean, if you're not protected by FDIC and you're not in like Chase or Bank of America or Wells Fargo, and even those, I'm not sure 100% sure about those, but Citibank, I mean, I think the largest banks in the world should be okay. But if you're at a smaller bank and you have over 250, you should make sure that bank is all right. Give me your thoughts. I'm not telling anyone to take money out, but I'm telling people to look at your own situation. Guess what? No one gives a you-know-what I think about anything. And unfortunately, and I say God forbid, people around the country are going to take out money because they don't trust the system, because Jerome Powell and, Jim Cramer at CNBC and all these people have been dreadfully wrong. It's not Jim Cramer. Jim Cramer is, I'm sure, a nice guy, but, I mean, he told people, I believe he told people to invest in Silicon Valley Bank. The system is powered by a public relations monstrosity, and there are so many lies, and look what's taking place. Yeah, we're 90 seconds to midnight, by the way, according to the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, but at least Trump isn't tweeting. There's been such an obsession, such an apoplectic obsession about Trump's personality, but we had record low poverty under Trump in 2019. And they say, well, it would have happened under a Democrat. Well, how's the Democrat doing now? Huh? How's Biden doing now? Do you like his personality? You didn't like Trump's personality. You like Biden's personality? If I was one of the ladies at The View, I would say, oh, you voted for this. Did Democrats vote for this? Because this is going to be really bad. The market could go up tomorrow. Everything could be calm tomorrow. But you know what? Writing's on the wall, and I've been telling people forever. Well, since 21. Give me your thoughts below. God bless America. And God bless Democrats, Republicans, doesn't matter who you are, left-leaning, communists, socialists. If you're communist or socialist, you better be careful. We have the wealthiest socialists on the planet, especially the pundits. They make, oh my God, you can't imagine how much money they make. But be careful, especially if you're invested in crypto. I think Bitcoin's going to get, oh my God, I think that the volatility, the derivatives, hedge funds, and derivatives purchase on margin, I think everything's going to tank. I've been saying that since 21. But really, nobody cares what I think, which is fine. That's totally fine. But I actually like it that way. But the writing's on the wall, and I say God bless America because maniacs have taken control of our economic future. But at least Trump isn't tweeting, and at least these maniacs feel good about themselves. So, that's all they care about is Trump tweeting. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Trump was right. So, yet again, we're 90 seconds to midnight according to the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. Trump was right about that. He's right about the economic situation. I wrote about this in the Federalist, ladies and gentlemen. Read that article below. Go to hagoodman.com, and God bless you. I will have, of course, live streams all throughout the day. Thanks, everybody.